So we're going to take a step back for a moment and kind of put this entire day into perspective and look at the center of what all of this is, which is Linqto. So Linqto is the motive force that's gathered all this knowledge, all this intellect, and put it on the GIC stage today for the single purpose of educating our investors and also kind of growing our loyal community. So we're kind of going hybrid now, and we're welcoming Bill Sarris. Bill, our CEO, all the way over from the US. Thank you. Over to you.
Thanks, Irene. And Grim, thank you, and thank the whole team for really excellent conference you're putting on. I was thinking this morning, it was just 2 years ago, we started Linqto. Linqto was a very fortuitous thing that happened. We opened the Linqto platform 1 month before the pandemic. So I do remember when we were going out and raising our seed capital, the popular question from angel investors is, what keeps you up at night, or what can stop you? Well, we hit a pandemic, and then we took off. Actually, our first global investor conference was 2 years ago, like late April. I think it was April 29th. And May of 2 years ago was our first black month, and we've been in the black ever since, and we've grown ever since. Most of you kind of know the story and the background of Linqto, but it's really a testament to several things. Probably most important is the people. We've just got a great team, and really appreciate the team that we have and that we've built over the last few years. So thank you to everyone. Welcome, willkommen, bienvenue, χαίρετε, for any of you who are Greek. And you're going to have an exciting couple of days with all the panels that are here and the things you're going to be doing locally. Meanwhile, as Grim said, we're back here holding the fort, but you do have some really great people there to talk to. With Grim is there, Patty's there, Susan's there. We got a lot of people on our team that are there, and they're the ones who really make the company run. I'm just the monkey behind the scenes that pulls the strings. You probably noticed when Karim was up there, you could actually see his mouth move, as I was talking from the background. And so, as he says, there's a puppet master behind all of this, pulling the strings, but I really don't do much every day. And I have to admit, what I do is wonderful. I come in every day and work with a great team. So let's talk a little bit about Linqto. Karim asked me to explain to the group not only what Linqto is, where we come from, but more importantly, where we're going, because we're really excited about the future of some of the things that are going on with Linqto. Yeah, I think most of you already know our tagline, private investing made simple. Thank you, Matthew. That was actually Matthew's phrase. And a lot of what you see here today, a lot of what you've seen over the last 2 years comes from the collaborative efforts of people like Matthew and Greg and some of the other people that are there today who were here in the very beginning helping us to get going. So it starts with this, and this was the idea we came up with at Wilson Sonsini conference room like 2.5 years ago in a session that Matthew chaired, an all-day session. We don't have a trading platform on the private sector. Think of it, every other asset class. I mean, you can go to NASDAQ or NYSE to do your public security stuff. Commodities has exchanges, crypto has exchanges, gold, pretty much every asset class you can get into and invest pretty easily by going through some type of a public exchange. Not so in the secondary market. Secondary market is complex, it's costly, you have to negotiate terms, sometimes you get ROFR'd out at the board level. And because of this, it's become the domain really of very large institutional buyers. Unless you have 250,000, 500,000, sometimes millions to invest, you can't get into this market. But the reality is there are fewer than 1 million individuals invested in this market globally, and there are over 100 million who qualify. You need to be an accredited investor to get in, but that's not a big lift. Most of you are accredited investors. But there's never been the accessibility and the pieces so that we could, as average investors, get involved in this market. And that's where Linqto came in 2 years ago with our point, click, invest model. Open your phone today. If you're a member of Linqto, you can go in, you can choose the product you want, click on 2 buttons, and within a matter of a minute or two, end up owning that asset. There's no closing time. There's no settlement time. And that's because we own the assets to begin with. We go out and spend our money first to develop and bring the assets in, so that when you're buying something on the platform, it's already owned. And this goes back to the 3 pillars of what we started with 2 years ago. Again, these 3 key words were developed in a session at 717 Market. I remember a couple of years ago, Matthew was there, Greg was there. And we were talking about what we needed to do and trying to simplify what we needed to do so we could present this to a global market. And the first piece was accessibility. It's just these type of assets are not generally accessible out in the marketplace. They're tough to find, and you can go to places maybe like Forge or EquityZen and go through bulletin board type of information. But where do you drill down and get the deep research information you need to have in order to make a good investment decision? If you want a CB Insights subscription, the minimum subscription cost is like 30 grand a year. Well, Linqto pays in order to have an API access to CB Insights, so we can provide that research data to our members for free. It's free to sign up on Linqto, and if you sign up and you're a member, you have the kind of research data that's only accessible through high cost to institutional buyers. So that was the first part. Accessibility meant building the platform. We solved the accessibility issue with the Linqto investment platform that we built over the last couple of years. But the second piece that was difficult is we needed to bring the cost down so that it's not a $250,000 minimum investment. We did this through the Linqto business model because most of us don't have $250,000 to put into one deal, but we might have $250,000 to put into the entire asset class. Just yesterday, I was looking at the numbers yesterday. We had one person come in yesterday and spend $200,000, invested $200,000 on the platform, and ended up with 8 different companies invested in at $25,000 a piece. You can spread your risk and you make the choice, and that's because of the Linqto business model. It's different from every other business model. We don't operate as a broker. We're not a Forge, EquityZen, Zimbato, the typical environment you think of, which is a brokerage environment. We're also not a fund. We don't go out and raise money in advance and then decide where to spend your money. We go out with our own money in advance. We buy. We're on the Ripple cap table 60 times now. We're a major shareholder in Ripple. We own enough shares now that we have information rights and things, because we go in and we invest in advance, and then we take those investments and we package them into special purpose vehicles, and then our members have a choice. You can buy in that one or this one or not invest at all. But the third piece, the third pillar of this that we knew 2 years ago is liquidity, and that's kind of a sentiment that's bandied about, but really doesn't exist in the secondary market. Most people talk about liquidity as going out and buying those shares from some early shareholder and providing them liquidity, but that doesn't provide you liquidity. Well, once you go onto the Linqto platform and you've invested in Uphold or Kraken or Ripple or any of the products that we have there, what can you do? Typically, you wait and you hold until the exit. And that's what Linqto does. We're on the cap table. We have to wait until the exit. But because we act as that intermediary, what you end up having is an asset that is tradable. That asset that's tradable will now be tradable on the Linqto platform. And that's coming now through the Linqto alternative trading system. And we're very excited about the new Linqto ATS. That's the next piece and the final piece in our 3 pillars to get us to where we dreamed about 2 years ago. The whole dream is about T0, a trading platform where you can come in and click buttons and get what you get. And you know that you got what you got, and you don't have to wait and you don't have to settle. So we have now accomplished T0 on the investment side. You can go in today and click buttons, and when you finish your transaction, you own that. You actually own that piece of equity. But in order to get T0 on the sell side, there are a number of things we had to accomplish to get to that point. First of all, you need equity in unicorns that's sellable without restrictions. So if you went to Forge 2 years ago and bought 1,000 shares, if you could have bought probably you would have had to buy 12,000 minimum. But if you bought shares through Forge, you would be on the cap table of Ripple. And in order to resell those, you'd have to go through that same find a buyer, 8-10 weeks, could get rofered with the deal. All of those things can happen, but the equity and the unicorns that we have at Linqto is sellable without restrictions, because we don't place restrictions on you from being able to resell the investments interest that you have in our SPVs. You also need an unrestricted security like we have that's mature enough to have risen in value. The secondary market is not like the primary market, and we don't expect day trading to happen in this marketplace because prices are more stable and they rise more slowly. But after a year, can be substantial increase. So we have properties right now that our investors invested in 2 years ago. I mean, I own some shares in Ripple One, our very first series, in February of 2020. And I can't remember what I got in it. I think it was like maybe $20, $21. It's now on the platform at like $48.50. There's equity that's been built up. Now, maybe I want to wait until Ripple exits and I have that option. But soon I'll also have the option to resell that on the platform. You also need a market of investors that are willing to purchase that asset from you. And at Linqto, we had 25,000 accredited investor members on January 1st of this year. After 2 years, within the next day, we're going to be reporting 50,000 accredited investor members. It's that we're growing leaps and bounds, and the ultimate goal is to have the marketplace on the private market side where any of those 100 million people who are accredited investors will be able to invest in that marketplace. You also need a platform that makes the investment accessible. We'll come into that in a second. That's what Linqto is currently building out for our new ATS. And of course, you need the regulatory approval to operate the ATS. And Linqto has our new member application with FINRA is in, gone through all the stages in the report. We're just waiting for it to be issued now, but that will be the first that we know of ATS license in the private security section. So we're really excited about that, and not only excited because of providing the ATS, but very excited that it allows us to develop a dream that we've been talking about internally for 2 years, and that's the decentralization of private equity, what we call DePry. Linqto is now building what will be the first exchange for private equity. Think of New York Stock Exchange, but for private securities. That's what our ultimate goal has been since day one. We're building this on the XRP ledger. So it will be immutable, will be decentralized. All the reasons you're hearing from the groups and the panels that are talking about it today are all the reasons why we are going on chain. We've created an X team so far. We've recruited 3 senior Ripple engineers to work on this team for us, including the fact that we're just acquiring Trustline. Trustline is a startup that was created by Matt Rosenden, who is a former Rippler. He's the CEO of Trustline. Now he is the VP of Ledger for Linqto, and he and his team have already started building out the new ATS system. And there are a number of pieces to it. It's not just the ATS. Part of it is having to build out our quote wallet accounts piece. This is different from what you might think of as a wallet. This will also be on the ledger. It's more like it's more like call it a traffic controller, right? So instead of us like having our own wallet and you have to run around with that wallet, you already know that you can use your Uphold wallet. Soon you'd be able to use your Coinbase wallet, your Kraken wallet, any wallet out in the space. And our account wallet will be like a traffic controller so that you can use any particular wallet that you want at any time. These are all exciting pieces that are going on now. So when I meet with the engineering team and the product team and what we're doing there, it's just it kind of reminds me of what we were doing 2-3 years ago when we were first rolling out the platform. This next level is going to take us to a huge next level, and so we're very excited about this. We're excited about what you guys are doing today and tomorrow there. This is a collaborative effort. It is a team effort. I know that we couldn't have done this. We couldn't have got anywhere on any of this, not only without our internal team, but our external team, our advisors, and people like, like you heard from Matthew, he's our former chairman, been here since the beginning. We have people been advising us for 10, 15 years. It's, even though we're a new company that just, it visibly has only been doing the Linqto platform for 2 years. Linqto's been around since 2010. We build a lot of banking applications. A lot of the people that we work with today are people we've been working with for 10 or 15 years. And it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time for us to be doing this. And I would encourage any of you and all of you, get in touch with me at any time. I love to talk about what we're doing. It's bill@linqto.com. Karim, I'd like to hear a little bit from Joe's opinion too. I don't know, Joe, I don't see you on video, but I do see that looks like you're here in the room. Do you want to come in for a second, Joe? So, yeah, there we go.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Joe.
You woke me up early this morning. I was only intending to listen to you, my friend.
Well, I actually had, first I had to make my own espresso at home just so I could get out of bed. But then I did go by Starbucks on the way into the office. So I'm cruising now, but I'll let you take it over. Thanks, Joe. Joe's our chief operating officer, but he's also the lifeblood of what we do on the investment side. I'm an engineer. He's an investment banker. So between the two of us, we make 100% of the knowledge by each of us having 50% of the knowledge. Take it away, Joe.
I'm actually scheduled to speak tomorrow, Bill. So I just want to echo some of the things that you've said, which are super important. One is that, as Bill said, we've succeeded largely because we've been able to build a tremendous team, and that's a team that grows every day. And when we talk about team at Linqto, we talk about it in very expansive terms. So, it's not just those of us that are working every day at the company with Bill to build Linqto, but it's actually also all of you at this conference and all of you who are members of our investment community that couldn't make the conference, but are very, very active participants in the building up of Linqto's business and its investment portfolio. Much of what we do at Linqto is very driven by the ethos of the blockchain. And it's one reason why we ourselves are, as Bill said, moving to migrate the investment platform onto the chain so that we can benefit from a lot of the characteristics of the blockchain at a technical level. But beyond that, it's the spirit of the blockchain, the spirit of creation of value together, right? In a very decentralized way, because all the participants in the creation of that network benefit from the value of the network as it grows. So too with Linqto, we started this obviously with 0 members in the investment community, with 0 assets to their name. And today we have upwards of 125 million in investments made by that community, and a community that numbers over 50,000 users globally. We're going to grow that. It's a very small number still relative to the potential. And 127 million in our view is one day going to be in the billions, and 50,000 will be in the millions. I invite all of you to continue to participate actively in that journey with us. We are going to build Linqto together with you. We're all going to succeed together, and hopefully, prosper together as well as we create that value as a community. So thanks again, Bill.
Thanks, Joe. And I know you've got a talk prepared for tomorrow. So I'm going to actually wake up again tomorrow morning early so I can come in and listen to your talk. I don't get to see you every day. So once in a while, when you're on virtually, I sneak in, and that way I can get a little of my guru knowledge that I need to just by listening to you. So thanks, Joe. Yeah, one thing, just Karim, I'd like to, just one thought I had when Diana and Matthew were talking. And it's about the inflection point that relates to blockchain now. I'm a geek, I'm an engineer. So for me, blockchain is a technology. Internet was a technology. They are a platform. I mean, there are a lot of names and descriptions of what those things are. But for me, they were technologies to use. And I recall with our first tech company was a .com. It opened in '93. In '94, 95% of our business came off of a touch-tone phone system that we had created. In '95, 1 year later, 95% of our business came off the internet. The internet was around since 1969, but in 1993, nobody knew what it was until HTML came out and Netscape came out, and we were able to actually visualize what the internet was. It didn't take off, but once it took off, between 95 and 99, I mean, if you didn't have a website, you weren't doing business, and the internet became mainstream. That's kind of what I see with blockchain. We've been, as geeks, we've been working with it, listening to things about it for 10 years, but now it's mainstream. And now when you see the president of the United States putting out an executive order about crypto, and the governor of California putting out an executive order about crypto, and I understand that some corporates are dragging their feet, but the corporates that drag their feet, Matthew, in the '90s are the ones who lost because they didn't get into the internet quickly enough. And that's what will happen with corporates now. The big ones, the ones who know what are going on, are jumping in, and they will cause blockchain to become mainstream. So I would predict that within 2 years, we won't even be talking the same way about blockchain. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Krim, I'll hand it back over to you. I know you've got an exciting agenda. I don't want to interfere with the rest of what you guys are doing today.
No, thank you, Bill. I mean, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for appearing, Joe. This does not excuse you for showing up tomorrow at 6:30, Joe.
Yeah, I look forward to our conversation tomorrow, Kareem.
Okay. We've covered over the last 3 days a lot of questions about Linqto. A lot of things have been asked. A lot of things have been answered. A lot of things, maybe 1 or 2, have not been answered. If anyone has a burning question that they want to ask Bill, ask now. It seems like we answered a lot of questions on Linqto, Bill, and we're very happy with your thorough presentation.
Thank you, Kareem.
Or everyone's on a lunch coma. Too much red wine and white wine and cheesecake for dessert. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kareem.
Did you notice the background, guys? That's a new initiative that we're going through. We're reaching out to the marketplace directly for secondary shares. That's in San
That's our
Francisco,
new
the Bay Area.
originations program. We just launched it like this week. And if you're in Silicon Valley, you'll see us everywhere. We're now in the Salesforce Transit Center. You see this one, I think, this is in the Marina District. If you're in San Jose, you'll see us in Santana Row. You may have noticed us yesterday in TechCrunch. We'll be in the Journal TechCrunch. We'll be everywhere that you'll be looking over the next 6 months, thanks to Patty and Susan, who are there, both there. Working with our very talented PR firm, Weber Shandwick in New York. So we're excited about that. Another initiative, there's so many pieces to this puzzle that have to come together for it to all work. And that's all what our team has been doing. So thanks, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. All right. Thank you, everybody. Round of applause for our maestro.